Hello everyone, welcome back to another video with After Blue. So quickly before we start, remember our slogan: start from where you are with what you have. Nobody's coming to save you. Stop giving excuses. So last video I spoke briefly on HTML, that we wrote a simple code. Don't know if you can remember. We wrote a simple code, HTML code. So I don't know if you can remember that we wrote something like this. Let's go back to our code. So we wrote something like this: HTML, my cat is very grumpy. We wrote it on that website, dsvideo.net. Don't know if you can recall. So not to waste much of our time today, we are moving forward. So today our goal is to check the anatomy of an HTML element, the nexting element, and creating our first HTML document. So as always, the tools we'll be needing today, we need the MDN Docs website, the txtpad, and gsvideo.net. Now the txtpad, I want to use it to show you about file creation, which I will explain more. So quickly, let's go to our first tools we are needing: MDN Docs website. So let's go there. MDN Docs, this is it. So we stopped at this place: my cat is very grumpy. I don't know if you can recall. So now we're going to the next one: anatomy of an HTML element. Let's go back to that place and type it. Yes, so let's quickly type it here. So we'll type don't worry, we'll understand all this. Paragraph, this is the P. My cat is very grumpy. So P. Let's run it and see. So it's working. So we are continuing from there now. So the next thing we have here is the explanation. I want to pick each of it and explain what's about. Now it's very important you don't just type whatever you think you see is working. You sometimes try to understand what is happening. You understand? So the first thing we see now is this first one. As you can see, it's opening tag. Let's go and check it out. So what it says is from this my cat is to the my cat's very grumpy, the my to the grumpy is the content. Now the first opening tag and the closing tag and everything as a whole is an element. Let's go back to our code and see. So what this means now is this first one here, this first P, you see the less than P greater than is the opening tag. Now the other one here, less than / P greater than, is the closing tag. Now the word that is in between them, this my cat is very grumpy, is what is the, what do they call it? Let's just confirm. It's known as the content. And everything as a whole is known as an element. It's very important you understand this because it will come in handy later. So the opening tag, that's just what it's about. Like it says, it consists of the name of elements. In this case, be wrapped in opening and closing angle brackets, which I explained before. Now it states where the element begins or starts to take effect. In this case, you understand where the paragraph begins. Next one, the closing tag, which is the other one. It's the same as the opening tag, except that it includes a / before the element's name. You understand? That's the element in this case is the P. That's paragraph. You understand? So, and like in this case where the paragraph ends, failing to add a closing tag is one of the, it's a common standard error that most people face. The content itself is the text. That is, my cat is very grumpy in this case. That is the content. That's the text. And the next one is the all is an element. Everything, the opening tag, the closing tag, and the content together, they are all an element. Now, an element can also have an attribute. Now, it's very important we make our hands dirty. Don't just read. Let's, you understand, practicalize it. So the next thing here is we can see something like an attribute with a value. So let's go back to our gsvideo.net and type it out and see what it's giving us. So from what you see, class is equal to what? It's equal to yeah, what did they write there? Class equals to editor notes, closes. We'll understand everything, don't worry. let's keep coding first. So yes, as you can see, okay, I'm trying to see if I can expand this. Trying to see if I can expand it. Like I said, we are all doing it together, so we're doing everything together. Exactly. I think this is better. Yes. So I think this makes more sense. My cat is very grumpy. Now, I think if you run this, it will run. See, you can see it's running. So my cat is very grumpy, it's running. Let's go to the next thing quickly. Now, it says attributes contain extra information about the elements that you do not want to appear in the actual contents. Remember, listen, it contains extra information about the elements. Remember, what is an element? Everything as a whole is an element. Now, the class is the attribute's name, and the editor note is the value of the name. So the class allows you to give the element a non-unique identifier that can be used to target it and any other element with style information and other things. What it means is, if by adventure later you start writing your code and you want to tag this particular paragraph without affecting everything, it's something like you can just call this class is equals to editor note, and you'll be able to edit this particular paragraph alone without affecting everything. If you do not understand it now, you understand it later. Let's just keep moving forward, but you keep understanding with time. So I think all these other ones are something that can be read on your own. So let's go to the next thing of the day. I think we are done with the first one is anatomy. So the next one is next in elements. Now next elements here says what you can put elements inside other elements. Remember, what is an element? Remember that this is an element. Everything like this is an element. Now they're telling us that you can put an element inside another element. That is called nexting. So for example, if you wanted to state that our cat is very grumpy, we could wrap the word very in a strong element, which means that the word is strongly emphasized. So let's try it out. So they said you can wrap an element inside an element, and you want to like kind of emphasize the word very as seen here. So let's see what will happen. Go back to our code. You see my cat is very grumpy, right? According to what is here, let's delete the attribute. Clear the attribute outside. So my cat is very, so the element we're using now is element strong. So we'll say strong. Strong / strong. Remember the rules. I don't know. Let's check the rules. The rules of the writing is very important. Like there are rules for writing. There are rules for writing an element. These are the rules. There are 4 major rules. It must have an opening tag, a closing tag, and the content together comprise of an element. So we have to ensure that it follows all these rules. Look at the strong as an opening tag. That is the less than and the right and the greater than, and it has a closing tag, the less than, the / and the greater than. Now it must have what? It must have the content itself. You understand? It must have the content also. So the content or the word here in this case is strong. As you can see, strong. So we have to wrap. Oh, this is an error. So let's wrap. It's very we are meant to wrap there. So let's cancel this closing tag. Okay, then we'll come here. Then we'll do / strong. Alright, so let's see what's going to give us. Now, as you can see here, as you can see the results, it's emphasized what the word very. My cat is very, you can see it's boldened. So that means you can have an element inside another element. That's just the basic meaning here. So you can have an element inside another element. So let's continue from there. That's just what next thing is about. So it says the element have to open and close correctly, so they are clearly inside one another. Notice now, if we are to do this thing wrongly, for example, now if we come back here, and we are to do, for example, you take this and we put it here. You see that I'm doing it wrong, but just let's see what will happen. And I run it. You can see it gave a wrong result. Why? Because it is meant to. Yeah, that's not what we are after. It's taking everything together. It's going to give a wrong result. So basically, that's what we are talking about here. So you have to ensure you're clearly inside one another and should not overlap the other. If not, the browser will guess whatever it wants to guess and give you any result it thinks is right for you. So if next thing is next element and creating our first HTML document. Now this one is basically talking about before element is talking about image, understand, having an image, but this will be something that we understand with time. So what it's telling us that not all elements has to have a closing tag. You understand? Some elements don't need to have a closing tag. It's self-closing. For example, if you can look at it, it says some elements have no content and a void element. Take the img, for example. If you can look at it, img src is equals to this images and alt text image. It contains two attributes, but there's no closing tag and no inner content. This is because an image element doesn't wrap content to affect it. It's telling us that it doesn't wrap a content, it's just for images alone. It's just like you save the image somewhere and you just go and fetch it out so that you can display it on the website. Now this part is going to be very interesting. This is where we need the text pad. This is where we are going to need that too, the txtpad. That's where we're going to need that too. So what it's saying here is that wraps all the basic of individual HTML. They are not useful on their own. Now let's look at it. So what I want us to do in this case now first is to go and I want to teach us about the kind of workings of the web's internet, how files and folders are very important in the creation of the internet. It's not like it to be useful directly. You could still do what you want to do on that website, you understand, but just for us to test and create some file and folders, which will really help your understanding of the way the internet works. So if we go to our Play Store now, you go to your Play Store, then you search for this particular app here. Search for this particular app, txtpad. I want you to go and search for a txtpad. Yes, so you search for it there. Now, what you do now is I want to create files and folder. According to the instruction here, it says what? Let's create an HTML file and have a look at what it's made of. Now, inside our web project folder, the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to create our web project folder. So we're going to go to our file manager now. Yes, go to our file manager and we're going to create a new folder. Let's create a new folder and we'll call it what? Web projects. Call it web projects. Now, inside this web projects, we're going to create another folder. According to the instruction, it said inside the web projects. Sorry about that. Inside the web projects, create another folder called first website. So inside the web project folder, create another folder called what? First website. Yes, that's the second step. Then inside first website, create a new file called index.html and insert the following code into it as follows. Now we are going to play a smart trick here. I want us to just go to our text editor here. You understand? So we are going to go back to our home. I've opened it before. So when you open your text pad and you download it from your place, this is what it's going to look like. But before you can use this text pad, you have to have a place you save it. So what you just come to settings and scroll down. You click the path to text file. This is where you want to save because it won't work until you save it. So you come to your file, then you go to where you created your documents, or your folder. So we created web project. This is it. You click it, then click our first website. Then you said use this folder. It asks you allow, you say allow. Now I think we can create our text file. So you click here, click here. So let's name it index.html. Why am I showing you all this? Is because you need to understand the internet working of files and folders. Because basically, the internet is just a large collection of files and folders that are saved into each other. Just the same way you have files and folders in Office. It's just like that, but it's online. But it's just more complex and more broad. So now let's copy and paste the whole code here. If it was a system, it seems to have done. You understand? Except we don't want to give excuses. So let's copy it and see what will happen. So we've copied and pasted. Let's see if we can save it. Yes, it was saved. So I want to rename this. Okay. Okay, I want to try and change that text to just HTML. Okay, so I'll think I'll continue from how many minutes have I used? 20 minutes. I'll continue from here the next video. Let me stop here. So we'll see again next video to continue from here to be able to understand more of the internet working of files and folders. Then from there we'll continue with the code and we'll finish up. We'll go into more complex coding from there. So we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And remember, no excuses. Start from where you are with what you have. Bye for now.